A few weeks ago, I created a Mystical Stations video on the Bowling Green station in Lower Manhattan. In that video, I mentioned the fact that Bowling Green used to be the terminus of a now defunct service. That service was the South Ferry Shuttle, and in this video, I'm gonna be taking all of you through the history of the line. This is the tale of the South Ferry Shuttle. The South Ferry Shuttle was never planned to be a thing. When Bowling Green first opened, all trains went via the South Ferry Loop and came back to Bowling Green on the Uptown track. In 1908, however, the Jerome Street tubes opened, allowing trains to run into Brooklyn. The initial service pattern saw about half of the trains running into Brooklyn and the other half running to South Ferry to terminate. However, due to heavy overcrowding on the trains that ran into Brooklyn, it was clear that passengers favored Brooklyn service. So, to address the overcrowding issues, in 1909, the IRT started construction on a new side platform at Bowling Green. This side platform in particular. This new side platform served rush hour shuttle trains, which ran between Bowling Green and South Ferry. This allowed for all other mainline trains to run into Brooklyn, alleviating crowding. The shuttle ran in operation with the original IRT subway cars, like the low V's, until the mid-1960s. These cars allowed for only certain doors to open at stations with tight curves. With the retirement of these cars, the shuttle's fleet was replaced with R12s, similar to what happened with the 3rd Avenue Elevated. The 4 R12 cars which were used on the shuttle, numbered 5703 to 5706, were modified so only the center door in each car would open. In its final 10 years of operation, not much changed. In 1967, the South Ferry Shuttle, along with all of the other shuttles in the system, was given the double S route bullet. 10 years later, on February 13th, 1977, the shuttle was discontinued. This was due to the New York City Transit Authority deciding that the shuttle was more trouble to operate than the benefit it provided. After all, Bowling Green and South Ferry are two very close stations, actually within walking distance. So was the shuttle actually needed? A connection between the Bowling Green, South Ferry, and Whitehall Street stations were proposed in 1989. However, only the latter two were connected, and it took nearly 2 decades to do so. Now that those two stations are connected, it's time to connect Bowling Green as well, as it would be valuable to be able to just walk through a passageway within fare control, rather than walking through the convoluted Fulton Street complex, or walking the block between the entrances to the Bowling Green and South Ferry stations. There are many other places where in-system or even out-of-system transfers could be implemented, like the one mentioned frequently by many, Queens Plaza and Queensboro Plaza. Anyways, that was the story of the South Ferry Shuttle. A pretty short story, one of the shortest in this series in fact. I plan to go through some more of the interesting lines, stations, and incidents in subway history and make more videos on them. I've seen that my Tales from the Subway series is popular, and I don't plan to end it anytime soon. So, if you enjoyed this southernmost tale from the subway, like, subscribe, and consider supporting me via channel memberships or super thanks. Special thanks to Stuart Guberman for supporting the channel at the Train Service Supervisor tier.